Hello, I'm Ali,
I'm Deb.
and welcome to another episode of Connected Conversations. So, this is a really interesting topic, and I'm sure that can go a million different ways, though. Have you ever been at an International Women's Day event and there's a guest speaker or there's someone that's maybe the MC, and the whole entire time that it's a Women's Day event, they're like, hey guys, hey guys. So today, Deb and I are going to talk about gender biases. And it was brought to my attention actually when I was giving a talk and facilitating that I should watch my language instead of saying, hey guys, maybe say folks or everyone.
hmm
And that came from even like, instead of me being like, hey, ladies and gentlemen, because then we're giving out like, where's the rest of the LGBTQ plus
Yeah,
crowd, right? So
absolutely.
that was brought to my attention of how maybe I have my own biases of ladies and gentlemen and excluding some. So how could I be more inclusive with hey everyone, hey folks, instead of again, and it just brought to my like a Women's Day event, like the whole day was hey guys. And as a woman, like who's been told numerous times that I should speak differently when I'm in crowds, to hear at a Women's Day event, hey guys, and I'm sure there was about five of them supporting. However, we're going to talk about gender biases, and this is a huge topic. We're going to talk from our own experience of feeling gender bias. So I want to first make that into context because we could go sideways, upways, downways with this huge topic because I feel like it's very hot. And I want to stick with my own personal experience and what Deb's experience, especially as women in business. We came from different industries. I come from tech, data center, cybersecurity, and Deb comes from a transportation. So a lot of male dominating environments. So again, we're going to talk from our experience and love to hear your own experience in the comments, like or share. And again, keeping this as safe of a space as possible, just to hear something different from someone's perspective. And again, this is coming from our own space. So, Deb, what is your thoughts about gender biases, or what have you experienced in the workplace that you've had to overcome? Because I'm really curious, because this is a huge topic these days.
Yeah. So I was transportation, obviously male dominated. Um, when I used to go to the conference, the whole board of directors was all males. I was actually pegged to be probably the first female on the board of directors, but
Mhm.
I quit my job before that ever happened. So I think maybe they were making some strides there. There's definitely, as it evolved, like our company was around for 47, 48 years. There was only male bus drivers. But, when I left, we had a handful or two handfuls of female drivers. And I would say the female drivers had a higher safety rating than some of the male drivers. So just watching that evolve, though, you never, like growing up, it was all male. When I used to visit the office, it was all male drivers. So watching that evolve was something I was pretty like I was pretty proud of. I was pretty proud of how women segued into the industry that was pretty much male dominated. Um, Even when it comes to some of the labor, some of our best bus washers were women. It was always men who washed buses, my uncle, my dad. Every so often I'd hop in there and wash a bus too. But it's just interesting that the jobs that were predominantly male were really segueing into offering females different positions, especially I think driving a bus being one of them.
Mhm.
That's a big machine. Like I don't want to drive one, and I certainly don't want to park one. But seeing the whole bus industry as a whole, owners, females coming into the mix, into the board of directors. I thought that was pretty awesome. I was going to be very proud if I ever got that position because I think it was a game changer. Because I think we've all seen, the boys' club, they go for breakfast or they have backdoor meetings in a hotel room with drinks and I've experienced it. I've been told to leave a room because the boys had to have a chat about something. So I think, we're evolving into a different a different era where it's not okay anymore, that we are inclusive of everyone. And, I think you lose a lot of talent. You lose a lot of opportunity. You lose a lot of potential. You lose a lot of mental and emotional health when we experience something like this. So it costs companies a huge amount of not only dollars but potential in their employees when they allow things like this to happen, or even off the cuff remarks. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced off the cuff kind of remarks from, I'm going to say males, but I think it could be females as well. Like, men are this or women are this, like, I think I've definitely experienced just off the cuff remarks and I'm like, I'm not sure that's okay, you know.
And some of those moments, I wish that I stood up for myself a little bit
Hmm.
different, especially in my like 20s and early 30s when I was definitely wanting to move up the ranks in different organizations. And some were smaller and some were like one of the bigger telcos in Canada. And when you go to the sales conference and definitely see the amount of suits versus skirts, I guess, so to speak. I remember talking to one of the VPs at the time and saying something. He's like, "Oh, you're not just a pretty face now, aren't you?" Now, shit like that now, I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me? I'm not just another pretty face." And I can count the number of times that I've left positions and they've hired 2, 3, sometimes 4 people to
Hmm.
replace me. And I was unable to move up because I didn't have the experience of what they wanted. Yet I'd have to hear in another breath, oh, they're hiring a 20-something-year-old male that could have more potential into a sales role. So there is numerous times, and that's why I know for myself, empowering women in technology is important for me to do. Supporting other women to build confidence, to feel self-esteem, to know that they are worthy and enough just as they are, and their talents are unique and beautiful. Because I know for myself, I struggled not feeling like I was smart enough, pretty enough, this enough, and having to do different things and realizing it's just the bias. It had nothing to do with whatever I was capable of. And on the other breath, it's like, do I want to just be that number that you put into a calendar? Like, where are we with recruitment practices? What is going on here? And the amount of times that women get called spicy in the boardroom or too aggressive and this, that, and different training. Like,
So true.
the hard part about it is like it still happens all the time. And normalizing activities that are maybe women leadership based, like getting our nails done together and talking about whatever's going on or going out for a nice breakfast. Why does it have to be on the golf course or smoking whatever? Like, I guess that was more like cigars in the old days.
Cigars.
Like, smoke cigars, have a glass of scotch. Like, why does there have to be drinking involved? So those are the questions I think more and more I'm asking myself. And it's really sad to see that after the pandemic, we might lose more women to the workforce because of the restraints of going back to work, hybrid environments, children, the needs of whatever's going on. Because like, and I'm not poo-pooing the males out there that are like super dads and doing a really amazing job, because I know that they're existing. I know they're out there. I'm dating a super dad, like he does a lot, though there's still, I think, an undertone of expectations for women to carry a different load. And that's a lot of stress. It's tough. And there's always choices. So
Do you think that, like, I know we're talking about businesses, corporate opportunities there. Do you think that you have gender bias in your home? Like, do you think that there's like your partner has to take out the trash and you do the dishes? Like, do you think you operate that way?
I feel like on if like you looked at how Nick and I work, for sure,
Yeah.
that I would consider it gender bias. Though I also look at Nick enjoys providing certain things for me that I don't enjoy doing. He just takes out the garbage, to be honest. Like, again, like he's a Superman. He'll just take out the garbage, recycling. I don't have to ask. That's something that he just does, and he enjoys doing it because he knows that like I have a hard time with, like, this is gonna go on a little rant side thing. I have a hard problem with meats. Like, if you ever see me like trying to cook meat, I don't touch it. Like, it physically makes me sick. Like, it's just something that I do not handle well. So when it comes to that stuff, like, he just knows that, like, physically, like, unless he wants me like dry heaving down the condo, I'm not taking out the smell of garbage. Like, it's just hard for me to stomach. On the other side, like, I'm probably the one that's doing majority of the sweeping in the bathrooms or whatever. And I know for my car, for instance, like, he loves to provide, knowing that my car is safe, that he'll take it to the shop or he'll check things out. And then on the other side, like, I do help keep his schedule. Like, man is terrible, terrible at time, terrible at like putting things through. And I just have, again, like, a different knack of seeing time and efficiencies that it works. So I would say, yes, absolutely, there's gender biases. I think the biggest thing is like, how do we appreciate each other? Because that's where I think a lot of it is lost, is playing this game of like, oh, I do this, it's worth more than this or that. It's like, how do we all contribute to an
Mhm.
organization? How do we contribute to a household? How do we contribute with our own unique gifts that complement each other and get still appreciate it? Just because I'm emptying the dishwasher more often than not, and Nick does it too, it's not that he doesn't. I still always say, like, I still want to be appreciated, because I truly feel like when appreciation is lost, when I stop appreciating him for taking out the garbage, that's when resentfulness comes in. And that's where I feel like we're at with our own dynamics. And I think some of them are very gender based. However, I'm grateful that he does some of those things because I don't like it. End of
I
story.
guess.
But I appreciate him because even though it's like what he's doing and he's happy to do it, like, I still want him to know that I appreciate those small things because that fuels him to want to do more. And it makes me feel like I'm seen in a house doing a lot more than like housework day to day than maybe some of the other gentlemen in this house.
Yeah, I think for all the singletons out there or single people like me, well, I have a partner, but we don't live together.
Mhm.
It's taking on all those roles of, cutting the grass and taking out the garbage. And I was just curious how that works for you as a couple living together. I think I would agree. I think if my partner and I moved in together, he might just take on that role because I know he lives by himself, so he does the dishes, he, takes out the trash, he, you know, sweeps the pool and cleans the pool and all that stuff. So I was just curious. I'm just curious, maybe for our listeners, like, do you have your own gender biases that you might not even realize?
Mhm.
Putting gas in the car when we go to the gas station. My partner actually does that for me. Um, but I'm quite capable of doing it myself. Although on a blizzardy winter day, I prefer not to.
Mhm.
So I make him. But no, it's just really interesting to look at your own biases around, like, you know, I think for me, I've had cleaning companies come in, and I don't think I've ever seen one male cleaner in
Mhm.
a cleaning company. So I'm just, are all different types of roles evolving? I guess would be my big question. And I would love to hear the comments. Do you think that roles are evolving? For the longest time, there was only female nurses. Now you see male nurses everywhere, and I think it's fabulous. I think they offer a different degree of support than maybe a female would, or a gender neutral person would. Like, I don't know. I'm just curious. Like, I'd be curious to learn more about it. I'd be curious to hear more about it from people in comments on what they think, how roles are evolving as we go forward.
I think those roles too can be shaped from how we grew up and seeing our family life. Because I'm sure that there is some really amazing stay-at-home dads, and as a male could say
For
like, oh,
sure.
that's what dads do, right? And that's what we saw. Like, when I grew up, I saw a very more traditional mom and dad. Mom was stay at home, dad worked, he had his own business. Like, that's what I just knew of growing up until we were older. Then mom did like a bakery job, and she worked at an old age home. So there was just different things. And it's, again, I don't want to label this right or wrong or good or bad. I feel
Yeah.
like there is a level of self-awareness that can be made and hold people very capable to share their gifts. And that's where I think I'm really passionate about, like, how do we build self-esteem or self-confidence to say, like, hey, like, you know what, this is what I really love doing and I want to do it because I know this is where I'm talented. Like seeing some of the women that are in the trades and
Hmm.
kicking butt, or seeing
Absolutely.
some men, yeah, like going into more traditionally female-led roles, like maybe a teacher or a nurse or two that stick out. And how do we allow people to share their gifts in a way that isn't judged, or see the possibility of how both male, female, non-binary can come into different perspectives in a workplace, especially in a situation where it is at the boardroom. So you can see the different levels of perspective. There's just a natural different care from men and women. I'm going to say men and women in a sense, again, like not to be insensitive to anyone, though, to say, like, as biology, man and women, our biology is very different. It's very clear. Like, as a woman, I can have a child and bear it and breastfeed, and my mind is very different. My eyes look very different, and it's biology. This isn't to be discriminatory. As men, like, they're natural protectors, providers. And again, this is very traditional. This is very into the human spirit side. So we have different perspectives. And I think when we can start appreciating them, because I know with like some women, it's like we also want to have men as allies. Like, I don't want to discriminate against men just because I've had a few shitty experiences with men not believing in me. And knowing that there is a lot of great men out there. Because my story used to be with men are assholes. And I dated a lot of them until I
I
changed my
attracted every one
story.
of them.
If there was 99 great men in the bar, that one shitty one, I'd be like, across the room, zeroed in. So that was my own story, right? And when am I not given a chance to see men that probably wanted to see me rise, and I was just too bitter to figure it out. So
I think that's
it
a good
goes.
point. I think that's a good point to go inward. Like, what stories are you telling yourself when you're in a boardroom? Like, do you believe that you're invisible because of the other people in the room? Are there blocks that or beliefs that you have that are really not supporting you in your career goals, your personal goals? Like if I walk into a bar with let's say a bunch of men, what story am I telling myself that I don't belong there, that everybody's looking at me, that, that they look at me like some sort of sex symbol? You know what I mean? Like we have these stories, and what stories are we telling ourselves when we're in any given situation, whether it's with another gender or even for ourselves? Like, what are the stories that we're telling ourselves that why can't I show up to this meeting? Is there a reason? Is there a story that I'm telling myself from previously that doesn't even support where I need to go? So I think that that's a really intimate journey with yourself, and really recognizing your beliefs around any situation, and maybe what's holding you back.
Mhm. It can be with like, yeah, any situation. It's just allowing yourself to say, like, huh, because we all have them. Like, I know I have more
Absolutely.
unbiased.
I
So it's
agree.
like anyone expecting conscious perfection all the time, like that shit's exhausting. Sometimes you gotta like do some, like, just you gotta live your life just to see what's happening or what's actually behind the scenes, and be okay to get some feedback once in a while.
And
Because
I don't
it's
think that like, and it doesn't have to be from a place of judgment, just recognizing, just being aware. And then just,
Mhm.
you know, I think, again, do the same thing over and over. You're going to get the same thing. So, what do you need to shift? Maybe you need to shift something in order to allow greater collaborations in your business, in your career journey, in your personal life. Like maybe it's you don't need your tribe of females. Maybe you need a tribe of males. Maybe you need a tribe of other people in your life to get different perspectives. So I really like this conversation. I think it's eye-opening. I think it's an opportunity for everybody to kind of get really honest with yourself about your belief systems around any situation and other people and how you relate to other people. And thanks for being with us this week. And I hope that you've maybe are going to take a journey inward and recognize maybe your own biases and how maybe you can shift them in a different perspective. So thanks for joining us. We will be back next Monday live to kickstart your week. Please like, subscribe, and share. And we will be back next Thursday with another episode of Connected Conversations.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please share with your friends and rate and recommend on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. There will be links to more great resources in the description.